Hi guys, welcome to my first analysis video of the season. So this week I'm looking just at squads, so just at someone's base team, what they've lined up with. And what I've looked at specifically is the top 25 players that were on Xbox this week. As you can see on the screen now, it's just a little Excel spreadsheet of the players ranked 1 to 25, what formations they used, and then what players they had in each position. How I've gone about collecting that data, so I've gone onto the Champions channel on each player, looked for their last game or the last game from 2, because not all games were on there. I've then gone into the game, have them select every player on their team, so every player basically touches the ball just to ensure that I've got the right player, or some players I can just recognise from boots and popularity. That's the process I've gone through. As a caveat to that, there may be cases where a player has used a lone player for the last game that they've played, so this might not represent the team that someone has used throughout the entire weekend league, but going on the basis that a player would have used the best team they could do, so they wouldn't have changed things around, for example, between game 10 and game 20. There might have been transfers in and out, but if a player's going for 30-0, you'd expect them to be using the best team that they can. So there might be slight inaccuracies, and also another, I guess, constraint that this kind of data gathering has. I can't go and see what exact card a player has used. So for a lot of this, I'm just reporting that someone has used Zidane. It could have been baby Zidane, it could have been mid Zidane. I'm not sure because I just can't find out unless I look specifically at that player. And there are other cases where I'm assuming, so with Renato Sanchez, for example, he has an inform that has boosted his card up quite a lot, that makes him popular. Therefore, I'm assuming that every use of Sanchez is the inform and not his base card. And there are a couple other players like that, like Alan St. Maxim, for example. I'm assuming that they've used the inform and not the base card. So with that, let's get into it. This is the data right in front of you. I'll share this on a Google Drive or something, just so people can have access to it and see it. But I'm just going to go through in each position what I notice, who are the sort of sure picks for that position, and maybe any positions that were more variable. The defence was very consistent across the piece. Centre midfield, that was definitely more variable, and in attack, the same 3 names pop up, but then it's really interesting who that fourth player at this point in time is to accompany the other 3. Anyway, so let's start with goalkeepers. There's been a lot of debate on Twitter who the best goalkeeper is. So with the top 25 this week, Alisson was the sure pick. So I think this could be potentially down to the fact that Van Dijk was highly selected, so it's a strong link to him. Gomez as well appeared in a lot of centre-back partnerships. So Alisson makes sense. And because we'll get onto the sort of left-back and centre-back, but you'll see that Varane and Mendy were also very popular. So they don't need the boost that maybe Van Dijk would need because he's not accompanied with a right-back as well. So I think Alisson, there'll be a debate on who the best goalkeeper in the game is, but for now, he seems to be the strong pick for a lot of pros. Ellison and Courtois were the others, and Pope, to be fair. Pope was used for the cheap squads, and he's proving very popular on any Twitter debates I've seen so far. And Lloris appeared once, so I don't know how much we look into that right now, but maybe a bigger data set would show that Lloris is worth using. So going on to the right backs, now I think this is one of the ones that I really like the most because Semedo is the top of the right backs, and you'll see at the end, in the overall squad, he would appear as the cheapest card. So you can pick Semedo up now, I know at least on Xbox, for about 35k to 40k. You'll notice that Mendy is also in here, so one person out of that top 25 did use Mendy at right back just because their left back selection was different, and we'll go and look at that in a second. For centre back, so Varane was used almost across the board, so out of those 25 people, only 2 people didn't select him. Varane and Mendy seems to be the most important partnership, at least defensively, now that you should focus on to get in your squads. There was a real battle, I guess, for the other two places. So some squads paired, I think, Virgil with Varane or Gomez with Varane, depending on popularity. I think where Varane didn't appear, so Van Dijk was paired with Rio and Desai was paired with Van Dijk. So Gomez wasn't used instead of Van Dijk, but people seem to have a preference of Van Dijk and Gomez, and I think that might be down to pace and how different pros will perceive its importance at this stage in the game. So it was nice to see Walker in there. I believe, whilst, like I said at the beginning of the video, I can't confirm that it was the inform, but likelihood of it is that it was the inform. And so Blanc and Desai probably, and Rio as well, probably appeared in squads where pros have maybe spent a little bit more FIFA points than others, so had a bigger budget. And Diego Carlos did also appear once, and we all know he's very popular in the game for lower budget squads. Left back, so no surprises, 96% selected at left back. There's not really much of a conversation here, to be fair. Someone picked Tellez in their team and they used Mendy at right back instead. So Mendy is the only player in this video that appeared in all 25 squads. So a bit like Semedo, Mendy isn't actually that expensive. He's coming under 100k, I think, the latest, or maybe slightly over depending on the console. So I'd look, as well as Semedo, for getting Mendy in your team ASAP if you can stretch that far, because he's just a sure pick for everyone, it seems. So centre mids, this is where we see a bigger variety of players, so no one above 40% selected, and it appears maybe there's a bit of confusion in the pro scene towards who's the best, although the two standouts, as you can see from the percentages, so Renato Sanchez, which I believe is the inform, he was coming in at 36%, and Kante, which is probably no surprise, at 32%. I thought Kante would be the most popular. Maybe pros prefer Sanchez's attacking prowess because he does have 4-star skill moves and weak foot. He is stronger than Kante going forward, has the high work rates, so I do get that. How popular he will be, like, remember, he's only an 82 card, but yes, he is very good and very affordable for most people. I'm a little bit surprised by Pogba as well, because with the meta around pace, still so 4 people in the top 25 had Paul Pogba in their squad. I believe that is down to his movement and his 5-star skill moves. I've played against him. I played against him quite a lot during the weekend league, and I was really impressed by Pogba. There's just something different about the way he moves around the pitch, which is hard to describe. So I'm not surprised by that. Then you've got Hullet and Zidane, 2 big guns, and I guess it depends how many pros have the budget to stretch that far. But they're quite obvious choices, and I think Hullet and Zidane will probably appear in more people's squads as they get more funds available to stretch that far. Valverde, so again, no real surprise here. So for some of the low budget squads, Valverde was the go-to. It makes sense. He links perfectly with the likes of Varane and Mendy, and he is very good. So Blanc and Vieira next. You've got these guys. Anything below 8% was only selected by 2 people, but you've got Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, Neymar. So he only appears in this list because Saf Dragon had him as a CM in a 4-1-2-1-2, and he will appear more in the attacking list. Sissoko, so more budget squad, Paulinho, Partey. There's no big surprises here. Centre midfield certainly seems the biggest position up to debate, and maybe it's because there's little differences really between, especially once we get down to looking at 12%, apart from the big guys like Hullet and Zidane. Maybe there's that much difference between these base gold cards anyway. Obviously, if someone can afford an icon, great, but for your gold rares, I guess it really does come down to a pro's preference. So moving on to attackers, so I'm going to do this in 2 parts, because attackers, positions that can be moved around more freely, so I'll see them different players maybe use Ronaldo on the wing or Neymar on the wing or Mbappe in the wing or in the centre. So I want to total them up fully. A bit like Mendy, so Mbappe and Neymar actually appear, maybe not 100%, but so they appeared in 24 out of the 25 squads, which you won't be surprised. I certainly was playing Weekend League at the weekend and I noticed the combination of Mbappe and Neymar appear once I reached the 15 ELO limit. Cristiano Ronaldo, again, no real surprises. We all know he'd be very good. The next selections, I guess there's more to talk about. So I was really surprised that out of all the top 25 squads, there is no Lionel Messi. I think that's one of the biggest take-homes from this video. Just no Messi to be seen at all. Your next selection, so Mane, I was really surprised. This is what I talked about at the start of the video. It just appears that Mbappe, Neymar and Cristiano Ronaldo are the three who everyone goes to and attack. But for that fourth position, it seems up to debate. So some pros can afford icons. So you've got Cruyff appearing, Garrincha, Pele, R9. If pros can afford that much, but then the other tier down is Mane, Rashford and Dembele. So I wasn't too surprised about Rashford. I've heard a lot of things on Twitter about him as well. Dembele is always quite a good meta card at the start of FIFA. I was surprised Mane was used this much, I must admit. But it's just a player I'm going to have to try out myself and see what the hype is about. 24% of the top 25 used him, so must be a good backup. Other players, so ASM, Best, Salah, Eto'o. Again, depending on the budget, people could afford icons or had to go a little bit lower like Sterling or Lucas. Moving on to Cam, Neymar seemed the most popular player in this position, although not many people use the formation with a Cam anyway, but Neymar was put in that position 4 times, Cruyff twice, and then Best and Pele. Right wing, so Mbappe seemed the obvious choice out wide. Rashford also used there a little at 12%, so 3 people had him. Mane, and then quite a big variation of other players. Left side, there was a bit more debate, so people again seem to like using Mbappe on the wing. So what's that? 24%, 52%, 76% of Mbappe. So he was used on the wing for the majority, really. Not many people played him up front, which is again quite another big take home to this. Neymar was also utilised on the left wing for some players. Mane as well, Ronaldo, and again people we use once or twice down here for the less common players. Striker, so I don't think there's too many surprises here. So Cristiano Ronaldo appeared the most in the striker position, and he was combined with Neymar. This is one of the, I think, biggest mistakes I made throughout my own weekend league, and I realised this about 20 games in, and I had Neymar out wide and Mbappe central, and I didn't feel like I was getting enough out of Neymar in that wide position, because in the wide positions your biggest attribute really is pace and getting behind the back line, which is what Mbappe has. And Neymar's biggest strength is his agility to unlock defences, which is better utilised not in the wings, so in a cam position or in a striker position. So I'm not really surprised too much that Neymar was picked by just over 50% of our pros. And again, so yeah, R9 would have been the obvious choice for some if your budget can stretch that far, or Pele was being used there as well. And a couple 4% here just on people who used them, but they only appeared once. So that completes every position analysis. Just one more screen overall, looking at how many times that player appeared, looking at all positions. So in green I've highlighted where a player was the most popular position. So you'll see Kante and Mane do actually appear below Gomez here. So Gomez was selected as much as Kante or more than Mane, but because Van Dijk and Varane were so popular in those positions, he doesn't make the team, but Kante and Mane do. Selections just outside that top team, so you've got the Walker informed centre-back, Pogba, Hullet, Ederson, Walker, the right-back version, so that would be base gold, Zidane, Valverde, and to be fair, there's quite a lot of players who appeared only 3 times or only twice, but anything above 16%, I think 13 up, this is your main players. So anything at 16% only actually appeared 4 times out of the 25. So you can see a strong correlation with the top 12 players that were used in the whole weekend league. So that leaves me on to the final review of the average squad. So in this weekend league, I've just stuck the most popular players into a squad builder on FUTWiz. And this is the team I've come up with, so just the same players you saw on the last spreadsheet there. So the average squad, the average cost, I guess, of getting in the top 25 on Xbox is about 5 million. Obviously, it's a funny average, so I didn't want to take the average of all players because some pros can just completely skew the results. You've got on one end players using R9, Hullet and Pele, and on the other end, so this goes to the cheapest squad that was actually used. So World Tales, he actually finished 25th using this squad, and it's worth 1.5 mil. So this was definitely the cheapest squad, and actually it could have actually been cheaper. I just can't see the versions of the card. So he could have used base Ben Yedder here, he could have used base St. Maxim, and this squad would be coming in at definitely sub 1 million at least. So if you guys are looking for a cheap squad, I say a cheap squad in reflection to what's used at the top level of FUT Champs, then this might be a good go-to squad. And that completes my analysis, guys. I want to do these maybe every month. It depends how beneficial they are to everyone. If this video gets popular, if it gets a decent amount of likes and just a bit of exposure, then I'll look at doing the next one and maybe even using a bigger sub pool. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's been informative on who the meta cards are in the game at present. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.